I'm thinking one more phase.
No. My will is inviolable. Something is wrong.
You're afraid. You always have been. From the moment the Blight exposed what you were, weak, you conceived us to prove otherwise. But the result shook you to the core. For in us you saw yourself, and realized we had the potential to be more than you could ever be. And so you turned your back on your creation. Your back on the world, like the coward you are.
You think you know me? You know nothing, Logos. Nothing. Bathed in light, I stand above you, my rebirth complete. And you, for your defiance, shall pay the proper price. An eternity of anguish.
Anguish. Pain. Suffering. You have known none of these. But we have. So we know what they grant. They bring us together. And that makes us strong.
Thunder roars!
Oh. Okay. Too bad I couldn't get to level 50 before this. It would have been nice to have gotten to a solid, even level 50 for the final boss fights. You know what I'm saying? Whoa. Oh, shit. Starting to use... Wow. He's gonna start pulling out all the, Oh, there, yep. He was using, Garuda attacks, now he's using Titan attacks. That's cool. I think that is pretty cool, actually. I'm using Garuda. I almost got him staggered. Titan versus Titan right here. Who's gonna come out on top?
Get him out, Clive!
You cannot have this power. It is not yours to take. Let's try. Darkness spread.
I guess that was Jill right there.
Darkness, unending.
Odin.
And I guess you can bet your ass that Leviathan is gonna stay lost in this final fight.
My son. No, mine is the altar at which you pray. Mine are the eyes that look down upon you all.
And yet still you cannot see. You are no better than us. We are one and the same.
We are not the same. No man might stand beside me. None. Witness my creation. our equal.
Nice try.
Petulant child.
Oh, fuck. Fuck.
Nice try.
Ah.
When all hope is burned away, naught will remain but ash.
Yo. Ah. Ah, fuck me.
Needed that.
Oh fuck. Oh shit.
Needed that.
Fuck you. Oh my god. Well, I wasted the limit break then. That sucks. Oh, damn it. Oh,
so sure of your place atop the world, you refuse to acknowledge those below. You chose to remain alone. And so you shunned the one thing that could have made you stronger. Pushed away the hands that could have raised you higher.
I do not need you or anyone.
And that is where we are different. I could not have made it here on my own. I carry with me the hopes and dreams of my brothers, my sisters. And it is they who will give me the strength to end your reign.
What? Fuck, the stagger gauge is pulled up. At least my health was pulled back up. Am I just gonna...
The only fantasy here is yours. And we shall be its final witness.
Words final in fantasy.
I said... it's over.
I think it's over.
Tell me, what do you imagine will befall this world now that you have gained your precious freedom?
I honestly don't know. But I doubt it will be pretty. A sorry tale of sin and suffering, hardship and pain.
And it was for this that you fought so fiercely? Why?
It's who we are. We fight. We survive. We endure. We don't need a reason. We are imperfect creatures. When we stumble, we reach for a shoulder to lean on. When we fall, we stand back up. We see the horizon, ever out of reach, and still we march on. Certain the answers lie just beyond it. Because that is our way.
My congratulations. Relish this victory, knowing that you have but delayed the inevitable. Your world is already dead. May you enjoy an eternity on its blackened husk.
We're sucking them up. Do we have Ultima powers now? Are we the new god of the world? You thought you were gonna wear me, but now I've come to be wearing you, Ultima. True love's kiss will bring him back. He does have the power of the Phoenix now. The power to heal. And bring back people from the doorstep of death.
It seems Ultima's power was too great for this vessel all along. But while I have it, perhaps I can use it to set things right. and see Ultima's legacy. Bearers, dominance, crystals, magic, consigned to the flames. Even if it means the end of me. These are our terms.
You're the most beautiful thing.
He is, isn't he? What are you
The
gonna
first
call him?
baby
Let me
of the
see,
new world.
let me see. Oh, Reed, little one. Got a smile for your Uncle Gav.
Not so loud, you burp.
What? I was only... Shh.
You're scaring him.
It's all right.
Oh.
A star going out.
A sky of scattered tears, 1,000 years apart. Should they fade, I will not be afraid of the dark.
If you need a rest, I can take it.
I'll hold you to that.
Burns inside me, deep within my heart, showing me.
World's yours now. Yours to do with as you please. That's what Sid wanted. That's what they both wanted.
And I cannot bear the pain. I look to the sky and pray that though our night is over, you shall always remain forever, my treasure.
And thus did our journey end.
Damn. I guess a tragic ending. Indeed. Not really. I mean, not really a tragic ending, but kind of tragic. Because Dion, Joshua, and Toph couldn't make it. Damn, what's with all the main characters having to die at the end? Final Fantasy. What's with that lately? But I respect the ending. I respect it. I would have liked to have seen Clive, especially Clive, get a happy ending. Get a happy ending with Jill, and that would have been nice. This was a very solid, very good, maybe even great Final Fantasy game. I really have nothing negative to say about it too much. And the negative things I can say are just really kind of nitpicky. The only thing I can really say is that it just can't quite fully click with me. You know, I've said it from the beginning that medieval games, characters speaking medieval and all that, it's just hard for me to get into. And even this game, I just couldn't quite really, I couldn't really be inspired by it. That's a shame. I'm sure this music's probably copyrighted. Probably gonna make this video copyrighted. Oh well. As long as I hope it's not fucking. Hopefully, it won't get blocked in places. But yeah. Even comparing it to the latest Final Fantasy game before this, Final Fantasy 15, like I could more so myself get into Final Fantasy 15 more than this game. I just could. And 15, I have more. There's obvious more flaws to that game than this. Gameplay was very solid. Story was very solid. But I just fully couldn't get into it. And that's just the fact of the matter. Mm-hmm. But this is still, I mean, this game is still up there. When I compare it to all the other Final Fantasy games, it would still rank up there. It's just not going to be toward the very top. Something I just want to point out, it does seem like every Final Fantasy game lately is becoming you versus a god. And I know the Final Fantasy series has always had the stereotype of it always comes down to you versus a god. You're trying to take down the gods. But that's been more literal with the last handful of games. Like, I think back to the older Final Fantasies, like Final Fantasies 1 through 12. You can kind of argue 12 was you versus a god in a way. I might touch more on that later, but at least let's just say Final Fantasies 1 through 10, and include 10 too as well. Like, the final boss was never a god, with the exception of maybe Final Fantasy 3. The final boss of those games was never an actual god. It was just a character with godlike powers. They seemed like a god at times. And I kind of like that better. But really, ever since Final Fantasy 13 and onward, yeah, I would include even Final Fantasy 13, because the final boss of that game is like, I guess, the fal'Cie of all fal'Cie. It felt like an actual god, but I guess it really wasn't. And later in the trilogy, you would find out that there are actual gods, but Final Fantasy 13 in of itself, the final boss of the game does. It seems like the fal'Cie are kind of the game's version of gods. But if you don't want to count 13, and you can't count 13 too, either, actually, because I mean, there are gods in 13 too, but the final boss of that game is a monster on a blank. What's his name? Caius. So, but 13, almost at 13.3. Lightning Returns, which is essentially 13.3. Yeah, the final boss of that game is the god of all gods, and 15, you fight Arden, who isn't a god. He has godlike powers, but really, they wanted the final DLC to be you versus Bahamut. You kind of figure out that Bahamut is actually like the real enemy, and you gotta like go and get back control over the world from the gods and get it back to the humans. That didn't really pan out in this game. Like I said, 12 is not really. It's kind of you versus a god, but not, because a god is the reason why the events of 12 happen. Vayne has a god on his side somehow, and the god kind of gives him power at the very end to make him kind of like a god. So really 12 and onwards have all really felt like you versus a god. I just don't get that same feeling in Final Fantasies 1 through 10. Again, with the exception of 3, maybe. That, you know, I just personally kind of like that in 1 through 10 you're not actually fighting or against an actual god, you're just against really strong antagonists that have the power of gods. Maybe you can convince, or maybe you can argue that the final boss of Final Fantasy V, X-Death, is a god. Definitely not human. He's just the accumulation of like evil spirits in a tree or something like that. You know, I dare say I think out of all the Final Fantasy games I've played, you know, I've said before on this channel that Final Fantasy VIII is the game that I like more than I should. I'm dubbing this game right here, right now, as the game I like less than I should. I should like this game more than I should. This is a very good game. I can see this. I can see in people loving this game, definitely. I can see people not loving the ending. Some people just hate unhappy endings. I'm a person that doesn't mind them. Obviously, the more biased you are with the characters, and then the more you might dislike it. And it, you know, it's not like I didn't love this game, so I didn't love the characters. Even though I would prefer to see, especially Clive, but even Joshua and even Dion have happy endings, and everybody at the hideout just gets together and lives happily ever after. Yeah, I'm surprised this game, I think it just goes to show how great the games were that all came out in 2023. I'm surprised this game wasn't nominated for Game of the Year. I'm very surprised this game wasn't good enough to get nominated for Game of the Year. I really am. I haven't played any of the other games that were actually nominated. Maybe they're just that good, right? But it is hard to... It is hard to see. Yeah, I still wonder what exactly the boy in the hood was. I guess he was just kind of a manifestation of Ultima. But it's kind of weird. You saw him a couple of times after Clive fought himself. A couple of times after you met Ultima for the first time. So I kind of thought he was actually going to be something more. But I guess not. Let me just point out, it's kind of weird that they didn't show Otto any at the very end of this game, in this episode. Yeah, that baby being born back at the hideout right after we defeated Ultima. You know, I just thought of that, I guess that's kind of reminiscent of how the baby was born in Final Fantasy VI, right after the party beat Kefka. The OG hideout theme. I also gotta say, for me personally, that I'm not trying to diss the music any or hate on it or anything. So it's not like I think the music's bad, but no track really stuck out to me. And I think that just, again, is another thing that just comes down to taste. I mean, all my favorite Final Fantasy tracks come from the older games. I feel like those tracks in those games were just more, I like to say, in your face. And I guess something about those tracks that I like. And when I say older Final Fantasy games, I just mean especially from Final Fantasy VI through 10. But, I mean, Final Fantasy 1 through 5 all have tracks that are favorites of mine. Specifically, the 6, 7, and 9 are the ones that those three games easily have the most tracks that I just adore. Easily those three games. Really, 10 and 8, they don't have many more tracks that I love in those games than 1 through 5. Especially 5. And I would say also 1. Damn, this video is gonna near 2 hours before it's all said and done. I might decide to split this finale into 2 parts then. You know, I sit here and I say that I can definitely see this game being loved by a lot of people. I really can't see how anybody would dislike it. I guess I would be surprised if the general reception of this game wasn't, it's a pretty damn good game. But honestly, I don't know if it is. I just don't know. Like I've said, I've tried to stay away from spoilers as much as I can for this game. But I feel like I may have the impression that when it's all said and done, that the general reception of this game might fall into just being a mid-game. I'm just definitely interested. I'm definitely interested to see what other people think of this game. It wasn't an open world game. It wasn't super linear necessarily either, but it was kind of on the linear side a little bit, I guess. And you know, I really don't see how that would be a big problem to most people. I don't think people want to play open world games all the time necessarily. I don't really. I mean, don't get me wrong. Open world games can be very fun, without a doubt. But sometimes you feel like an open world game is too much to take in. It can be overwhelming. The side quests in this game, I would say overall, were solid. They weren't great, but they were solid. They were good. Some of them more than others, right? Maybe the game could have had less side quests. I think it could have had less side quests. would be... When I play this game again one day, in the distant future, I don't know if I would do all the side quests again or not. Of credits here. So also, Clive and friends doing what they did, defeating Ultima, destroying Origin. I'm not sure what that did to the world. Maybe they did say, and I just have neglected to get it memorized. But I'm guessing there will be no crystal shards for people to use magic with. Will bears still be born? The bears that are still in the world, will they be able to use magic? I mean, you saw that their magic was weakening the deeper you got into the game, right? So I just think straight up they won't be able to use magic anymore, period. Incon cannot use magic, and there's no crystal to use magic. I feel pretty safe about that. But like Ultima said as he was dying, like, is the world still gonna die? Is the blight still gonna spread? And is the world just inevitably gonna die off? Did all we do is just delay the inevitable? And we never did become the perfect vessel for Ultima because we never absorbed Leviathan, so like I said, Leviathan, I am sure, I'm willing to bet the house mortgage that Leviathan and all there is to do with them is going to be in DLC for this game. And I guess that's what we'll do next time. I'm looking at my TV right now, and parts that are red in the video you're watching, because I'm seeing them on my my MacBook screen. They're red, but when I look at my TV screen, they're pink. So that's weird. It's more so like they're white with the red trim. It kind of makes them look pink or more pinkish. But when I look at my MacBook, they're just straight red, solid red. Dude, this might be the longest credits I've sat through ever. And it's so uninteresting, there's nothing going on. Like, can we get little scenes of how Gav and Baron or Byron, I should say, and Jill and Wade and all the characters are doing here post Origin and Ultima Destruction. Yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna split this finale into 2 parts, into 2 separate videos. So Creative Business Unit 3. Epilogue.
Oh. Every time.
Will you light it?
Yes, Mother. Come on. If only I had the flames of an icon.
Icon? Have you been reading that silly story again? Magic belongs in fairy tales, and fairy tales don't boil kettles. You see? Well done. Now, be a good lad, and play with your brother until supper.
Come on, hurry! Hurry! Right.
Well, it seems like the world has lived. It's lived on long enough for our deeds to become that of legend.
Right, let's play the saint in the secretary. No, I don't want to be Madu. What do you want to play then? War of the Icons! Again?
Final Fantasy by Joshua Rosefield.
Why? I'm the older brother. Because the hermit says so.
Did Joshua live on then? Did we in fact bring Joshua back to life? But when one journey ends, another one begins. New Game Plus. The gameplay mode Final Fantasy is also now available for use exclusively with New Game Plus. Final Fantasy mode. You weren't actually playing Final Fantasy all along. Final Fantasy mode. The Final Fantasy gameplay mode offers the following. Increase player level cap to level 100? What was the level cap? So I guess Final Fantasy mode is like a hard mode. And you can only do that in a New Game Plus? But yeah, I still want to know. Echoes of the Fallen. I still like, what is this? It looks like DLC, but how can I do it? Let me just go ahead and look it up now. I'm just looking up FF16 DLC. Echoes of the Fallen plus the Rising Tide, which definitely sounds Leviathan related. So I guess there's 2 DLCs here. Rising Tide doesn't come out till spring 2024, which is right around the corner. Echoes of the Fallen is a relatively short edition of Final Fantasy XVI, clocking in at roughly 3 hours of extra content. The expansion essentially functioned as a final dungeon, something the new game lacked before now. Of course, just like the rest of the game, you can play through it on any difficulty. You know, Echoes of the Fallen unlocks new story, battle, weapons, accessories, level cap, and more. The adventure begins before the base game's final battle. As strange dark crystals begin to circulate on the black market, players will follow Clive and company during their investigations as they encounter a group of suspicious traders, leading them to a long-abandoned fallen tower known as the Sage Spire, and the terrible secrets that await within. Special bonus items for purchasing Echoes of the Fallen or the expansion pass include the Buster Sword, allowing Clive to wield Cloud Strife's iconic weapon from Final Fantasy VII, and the Away, 1987. Orchestrion roll, which allows a chiptune version of the song Away to be played as background music in the hideaway. So it's basically just going through a dungeon. You know, honestly, I don't know. I don't know if that sounds interesting enough to get. At least not right now. You know, I don't know if I want to get Echoes of the Fallen. Echoes of the Fallen. If it was something more interesting, maybe. It's just like this untold story of how Clive and friends noticed that these strange black crystals are being sold in the marketplace. And then they, I guess they trace back the dark crystal's origins or where they're coming from to a fallen tower. And they go investigate it, and it becomes a big dungeon, and I guess you fight a boss or 2 or 3 at the end. I don't know. I think it'd be kind of anticlimactic to end on that. Doesn't really sound interesting enough to get. Maybe I'll get it one day. If I were to play this game again one day, and there's a good chance for that. It could be long down the road, but maybe I'll get it then. Rising Tide's not even out now. It's coming out spring. We're just days away from spring. I guess there's still not an actual date for it, so it'll probably be the end of spring. Who knows? It might even get pushed back to the summer. So it says the Rising Tide will bring new challenges and more, including the confrontation between Clive and the legendary icon Leviathan. So, like, what is this supposed to be telling? An untold story of Clive coming face to face with Leviathan? That does sound a little bit more interesting, I will admit, but it's not out yet. But also kind of like, just from what I'm seeing, and maybe it'll turn out to be otherwise, but just based off of what I've read, it kind of seems like Echoes of the Fallen is kind of a harmless little DLC just to give you more game. Rising Tide, on the other hand, it does seem like it does seem a little bit egregious, because it's like Leviathan and the dominant of water, and that could have and probably should have been in the base game. They kind of just saved that to have as DLC to entice you more to want to buy it. It works. I just said it sounded more interesting. I would be more enticed to get that DLC. You know, that's the kind of stuff that makes DLC rub me the wrong way. I just don't like the idea of stuff that probably should have been in the base game being held on to and then released later as DLC, just to get an extra book out of you. But whatever. I don't think I'm gonna do. I really don't. I don't think it's worth it to do. Echoes of the Fallen right now, so I don't think I'm gonna do it. Maybe one day in the distant future, when I play this game again, I'll do it. Oop, shit. But yeah. That ends Final Fantasy 16 once and for all. Like I said, I think this game's gonna go down as the Final Fantasy game that I should like more than what I do. Gameplay's fun, the story is good. Really can't say anything bad about it. It's just not, I just couldn't quite really get into it. I do want to say though, you know, my experience with Final Fantasy and playing this marathon and more or less playing all the games in order from the games that you know, from Final Fantasy 1 till now, and playing them all in order of how they came out for the most part. You know, there's been ups and downs as we've gone on. And I think Final Fantasy kind of lost itself after Final Fantasy X. I think from Final Fantasy X-2, I'll go back to Final Fantasy X-2 all the way through Lightning Returns. So that's Final Fantasy X-2. That's Final Fantasy 12, 13, 13-2, Lightning Returns. All those games. Final Fantasy just wasn't cutting it. I'm not trying to say those 5 games are the worst 5 Final Fantasy games, or at least worst 5 Final Fantasy main titled games. I don't think that's true. Might not be far off though, but I think, for at least me personally, I think Final Fantasy was going down a path I did not like through those games. But they got back on track starting with 15. It's 7 remake and now this game. I like the track Final Fantasy is on now. But I think Final Fantasy still isn't as good as it once was. And this is coming from somebody whose favorite series is the Kingdom Hearts series. So, and I just bring that up because I love action RPGs. And Final Fantasy has done a very good job in the action RPG department. But I think I personally believe that Final Fantasy was better at the turn-based RPG genre. I'm counting all of Final Fantasy 1 through 10 as turn-based. think those are the games that Final Fantasy, it just felt more magical, more special in those games. And I guess I wish the games were still like that. Especially, I think the best era of Final Fantasy overall. I'm not saying these are. I'm not gonna say these are the best 3 Final Fantasy games. I'm not saying that, but I don't think it's far off. I think the best era of Final Fantasy came from the PlayStation 1. That trilogy. And you know, these are all just personal opinions, right? I guess I just selfishly wish that Final Fantasy games were still more or less being made like that. Turn-based games that use the ATB system and just played like those games, and even with no voice acting, that's fine. And yeah, Final Fantasy, they wouldn't be, if they were still like that today, they wouldn't be, what's the word I'm looking for here? They wouldn't be revolutionary. They wouldn't be keeping up with the times, all that sort of stuff. And I'm sure that's true. And honestly, it might would hurt the series, right? Like, they probably wouldn't be able to generate new fans. It's kind of hard to say, because you got games like Persona 5, which were smash hits, right? I've never played Persona 5, so I don't want to make an ass out of myself here, but is Persona 5 really that much different than the older Final Fantasy games? Like, is it really that much different? Like, no. I think Final Fantasy, I think Persona 5 is a game that has some voice acting, and but it's a turn-based game, and I mean, obviously it looks nicer than the PlayStation 1 trilogy of Final Fantasy, but I'm sure Final Fantasy games could, in that style of format, they could still make games look just as good as Persona 5 and still have the feeling of like how the PlayStation 1 trilogy were. I'm just kind of spitballing at this point. But, you know, at the same time, I don't think Final Fantasy is good as it once was, but I like where Final Fantasy is at now, especially compared to where it was from 10-2 through Lightning Returns. I think that was the low stretch of the series. And 10-2, I mean, that's still a turn-based game. Uses the ATB system, like all the beloved Final Fantasy games, and I think 10-2 was just kind of like the start of where that low point was. Like the gameplay of 10-2 was fine. It was just the way the game was structured. That's a whole another argument. But I mean, I don't want to say we'll never get Final Fantasy to go back to being turn-based, but it's not looking good, and I'm fine with it, because again, I love action RPGs. I love them too. I love turn-based RPGs, but I love action RPGs maybe even more. Maybe just not in Final Fantasy. But hey, I mean, Final Fantasy 15 had its problems, but still overall, I think it's a good game. It's a game that I do like. I do really like. 7 Remake, great game. Kind of rubbed me the wrong way. We'll just have to see what its sequels do. When I say it rubbed me in the wrong way, I'm talking about like story and kind of what 7 Remake what it hinted to do. And I still haven't played Intergrade yet. And at the time of this recording, yes, 7 Rebirth has been out for about 2 weeks now, or close to it. I still haven't played it yet or know anything about the game. This game has less problems, I feel like, than 15 and 7 Remake. But I could still get more into 15 and 7 Remake. I guess because 15 and 7 Remake just kind of took place in modern times and not medieval and all that sort of stuff. But yeah. Final Fantasy 16 is a very, very good game. I would even say a borderline great game. Even though I can't say I love this game. But yeah, that's gonna do it. That's gonna do it for my Final Fantasy 16 Let's Play. And we're not done with the marathon just yet because 7 Rebirth is out. And it's waiting for me to play it. But what I've been contemplating doing, because I have to, no matter what, before I played 7 Rebirth, I was going to play Final Fantasy 7 Intergrade, because I still haven't played that. I need to play that before playing 7 Rebirth. But what I was contemplating doing was just going ahead and playing 7 Remake again before playing 7 Rebirth. And I think I'm going to pull the trigger on it. I think I'm just going to play it again. And the reason why, I'm not going to say it's the only reason, but the reason that makes me go ahead and do it is because I would just like to play that game, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, for this channel and talk about it and have that game played before playing 7 Rebirth. So that's why. And I'll incorporate Intergrade in the middle of me playing that game. So yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be my first time playing 7 Remake on the PS5. So I think that could be pretty cool. Like I'm already 2 weeks late to the party of playing Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. Like hopefully I can, luckily I really have not seen any spoilers for 7 Rebirth. I mean, I truly have not at all. I couldn't even think of a little hint of something I've seen since the game has come out. Like really. Like I've just seen people like post on YouTube, some content creators like posting YouTube videos days before the game actually came out, because I guess they got early copies to review, and they're like, oh, this game is remarkable, this game is breathtaking, yada yada, but I'll be the judge of that. But yeah, I think I am going to play 7 Remake again. Play that game for this channel, and then I'll play 7 Rebirth. And then we should finally be done with the Final Fantasy Marathon after that. So it's like this Final Fantasy Marathon keeps getting longer and longer, but hey. Because yeah, on this channel, I did not start the Final Fantasy Marathon on this channel. Final Fantasy X is the first game I played on this channel, but the marathon started all the way back with Final Fantasy 1, and I played 1 through 9, and many more games like Dirge of Cerberus, Crisis Core, Final Fantasy IV The After Years, Interlude. Played all of them on my old channel that I didn't have commentary for. And now we've played through 16. But we still got a couple more games before I can officially end the marathon. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this one. Yeah, I really didn't know how I was gonna like this game going into it, but it didn't disappoint. It definitely did not disappoint. So thank you, Square Enix, for another great game. Thank you, Final Fantasy 16. And everybody working on it. That's gonna do it for this Let's Play. See y'all another time.